I'm Tempest, and this is wrestling news. Today's top story is who else but CM Punk. Oh yes, it just had to be, didn't it? Dave Meltzer reports in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Punk's AEW return is booked in for June 17th at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois, the site of his AEW debut back in August 2021. With June 17th being a Saturday, this is almost certainly set to also be the debut of AEW's newest 2-hour wrestling show, AEW Collision. While not yet announced, Meltzer expects AEW to confirm the existence of the show very shortly, with the show set to be an equal in terms of presentation and star power to that of AEW Dynamite. With Punk seemingly set for AEW Collision, you would assume the Elite are staying on Dynamite, yeah? Yeah! It's just not the same with no Sat. And yes, unsurprisingly, the Elite are expected to stay on Wednesday nights, according to Meltzer, as well as the Blackpool Combat Club, leaving Chris Jericho as the only one of Punk's rivals that may end up working with him, something that has been reported to be a possibility. On the back of this, a meeting is reportedly being planned between Punk and Jericho, seemingly to discuss creative plans and attempt to bury the hatchet. At least somewhat. This meeting is set to include Punk, Jericho, FTR, Tony Khan, and potentially others. As for who these others are, it seems it almost certainly will not be the Elite, or more specifically, the Young Bucks. According to Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Punk has not apologized or attempted to make any direct amends to the Young Bucks. However, according to Meltzer, this is due to Punk being told not to have any contact with them. Certainly would make it hard then. As for the meeting itself, as anticipated, there are some serious doubts that this will end up working out positively. According to PW Torch's Wade Keller, there are many that believe the meeting could instead make things worse rather than better. Keller detailed, among the people I've talked to, there's not a high level of confidence that the meeting is going to go well, that it could make things worse, but maybe not. Maybe things will work out. But people who have been around Punk, know people who have known Punk for a long time, are not optimistic that FTR mediating a meeting between Jericho and Punk is going to lead to progress. That's not great. Although Keller has also reported that Jericho is Tony Khan's closest confidant in AEW right now, so maybe Khan can get him to do what's best for business and put personal feelings on the back burner. But of course, we can't know for sure until we hear it from WrestleTalk's lead investigative reporter, Brian Children. Brian, has CM Punk returned to AEW yet?
No.
There you have it. The earpieces inside the mask. But hey, you know what, Tony? If you can't get Phil back, there's always Bill. Yes, the hottest free agent in all of wrestling is in fact the 56-year-old Goldberg. 56-year-old Berg, who has been talking up a storm regarding wanting a retirement tour and a proper wrestling send-off following his WWE exit. This man thinks he's the great Muta. They don't love you like that. Paul Pierce. While Trips clearly wants none of Bill, supposedly, according to Wrestling Observer Newsletter's Dave Meltzer, notable WCW fanboy Tony Khan is interested in bringing in the WCW legend to AEW. However, according to Meltzer, Goldberg's asking price is likely to cause an issue, with Bill reportedly raking in $2 million per Saudi Arabia match in WWE, which is just insane. Have you ever been paid $2 million every time you crush the upward trajectory of a young fiend, or nearly crippled an aging witch man? What a life. So yeah, likely a non-starter. However, AEW World Champion MJF would do a little tweet and delete regarding the rumors, saying he would beat the living out of this roided up Jew in reference to Goldberg. MJF is also in fact Jewish, in case that sounded particularly off-color, as opposed to MJF and his regularly off-color quotes. Would a Goldberg versus MJF match interest you in any way whatsoever? Let us know in the comments below. And now, I guess a hot tag to me for the Smackdown review. I miss Sat. It's just not the same without you, Sat. I'm still Tempest, and this is my review of SmackDown in under 5 minutes. SmackDown began with a match, a big plus, as Judgment Day beat the LWO, and in case you think I caught a rerun, no, I checked. Thankfully, Damian Priest and Finn Balor's match with Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar was incredibly crisp, but just as it appeared that LWO might actually pick up a rare win, it was revealed that Priest had made a blind tag, sliding in and beating Escobar with the South of Heaven. This was a very good match, and the pairing of Finn Balor and Rey Mysterio is incredibly appealing, and I would very much like to see them get a show-stealing pay-per-view match at some point down the road. Zelina Vega tells Adam Pearce that she wants to face Rhea Ripley at Backlash in Puerto Rico, and sure enough, by the end of the show, they made it official. Keep in mind, Zelina's last singles win came on December 21st, 2021. Just think about that. Braun Strowman and Ricochet then beat the Viking Raiders in a bit of a clunky match, where the main highlight was Braun throwing Ricochet into the ring, where he was caught by no one, making it look like a breakup spot, but no, they just it up. Valhalla interfered on the outside a couple of times, but really the Vikings didn't get much outside of a near fall off a top rope splash from Ivar before Ricochet hit his assisted swanton for the win. After a well-made video package about Shinsuke Nakamura, Karrion Kross said he does what the cards tell him, and he will take Shinsuke's honor. Liv and Raquel retained their women's tag team titles over Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville by way of cheating at the end of a decent enough match. It was short and there was plenty of chaos with both teams exchanging moves one after the other until Liv threw a drink in Chelsea's face and then rolled her up as Raquel gave her leverage. You know, the same spot the Usos did for like a year to cheat and keep their titles. Just a couple of stand-up babyfaces here. This was a very wrestling-heavy edition of SmackDown with hardly any backstage segments, which is fine with me because it gave us more time for matches like Walter and Xavier Woods. Walter is perfect. He's a perfect wrestler. Someone out there may be unaware of that fact, but they are indeed mistaken. Xavier gave Walter a run for his money, hitting a crucifix bomb, a rolling facebuster, and a huge top rope leg drop, but it would not be enough as Walter just activated beast mode and put Woods out with the sleeper hold. No cheating here. Walter is a true champion and the babyface we deserve. A lot of the matches on this show did indeed feel like reruns, all of them really, except for this one, and it just goes to show how much of an asset Walter is to this show. He always has the best match possible, and this was no different. The Usos then came out for a main event promo saying they're gonna win back the tag team titles, and so help me God, if that happens I will rip off my nose and stick it on my mask. Solo Sikoa got jumped from behind by Matt Riddle to start their no DQ match, a match that the fans didn't seem terribly into outside of their desire to see a piece of wood with 4 legs. On the positive side of things, it is clear that Solo Sikoa is being given every opportunity to improve with consistent matches against top guys, and that is certainly a good thing. Unfortunately, as far as this show goes, it was a rerun of last week. Riddle fights Solo, the Usos interfere and allow Solo to recover, he hits the spike and gets the win. They didn't even do a table spot in the match. They waited until after the match when the Usos hit Riddle with the 1D. The match was fine, but it was fine last week too. SmackDown is currently in a holding pattern until the WWE draft, but I don't know why it has to be. I don't know why this month of post-WrestleMania programming had to just be written off like this, but it is just missionary every night. As always, if you just watch this episode by itself, it's perfectly fine, totally adequate, but as an episode in a weekly episodic show, it's just filler at best and a rerun at worst. This SmackDown gets a 3 out of 5. God bless Gunther. And that just about does it for another edition of Wrestling News. Make sure to check back next week for the debut of the 1-minute, 1-take Rampage review. We would have debuted it this week, but they moved the show, probably because of sports. In the meantime, you should check out the latest edition of Cutscene from New World Ollie Good Brother Luke Owen, entitled The Frustrating History of John Woo's Metroid Movie. Here's a clip from that right now. On the back of this, a meeting is reportedly planned between Punk and Jericho, seemingly to On the back of this, a meeting is reportedly set between... I need to get this teleprompter app working. I didn't change the f***ing light. Damn it.
Nintendo had a rare thing in their possession, a playable lead female character whose lasting popularity is as unanimous as love.